Hi everyone, I'm Jeannie Dubon. Let's get zebra strong. Today we're talking about breathing. And I've got a question for you. Is breathing important? That seems like a ridiculous question, doesn't it? So apart from the obvious reason, breathing is extremely important. It can make such a profound change on our nervous system, on our pain levels. So oftentimes when we have hypermobility, we do suffer from something that's called breathing pattern disorders, which means that we're not breathing to our optimum. So I've found quite a lot that people tend to breathe very shallow up in their sort of upper thoracic, upper chest area, and they're not getting the air down into their sort of belly region. And in theory, we want to get the air in this whole torso area, so that the ribs get a lovely massage every time we inhale and exhale, and the abdomen and the diaphragm and the pelvic floor all start to function as a team when we're inhaling and exhaling. So oftentimes I help people relearn how to breathe with some very simple techniques that can really help relieve pain pretty quickly, just because that breathing technique starts to release muscular tension, and the tension between the diaphragm, the abdominal cavity and pelvic floor starts to let go, and that guarding and bracing, which is quite common for hypermobility, starts to let go as well, which can then have an effect on all the muscles around the lower back, the lumbar spine, the hip joints. And there's been quite a lot of research into breathing pattern disorders and how they can impact things like pelvic girdle pain, pelvic floor disorders, SI joint pain, pain around the hips, lumbar pain. So it's quite a deep thing that can have a far-reaching impact. So if we could learn a simple technique of how to breathe in a more efficient way, we could help our pain levels significantly. It's also going to help you relax. So if you have trouble sleeping, it's a great way to help you get to sleep in the evening. So why don't we give it a go? I've got a couple of cushions just to make myself feel comfortable. But grab whatever you can. I'm just going to have a cushion for my head, and I'm going to put this one so my legs can rest on it and take the pressure off my pelvis and my hips. So go ahead and lie down. And again, if you want to use cushions, you don't have to, but it's quite a nice way to help the body totally relax and support yourself and get nice and comfortable. So I'm just letting my thighs rest over this cushion, and then just going to support my head with this soft cushion as well. So we were just saying that the diaphragm and the pelvic floor need to work as a team. So you can think of these as sort of two diaphragms. You've got your respiratory diaphragm and your pelvic diaphragm. And we want them working, so when the diaphragm descends, the pelvic floor should descend, and when the diaphragm comes up, the pelvic floor should come up. And if we've got correct breathing patterns, that's going to happen like a little sort of jellyfish action, quite naturally. But if we're not breathing fully into our diaphragm, we're going to start maybe inhibiting the function of the pelvic floor and all the muscles around the pelvic girdle as well. So it's something that's really useful for us to do. It doesn't mean that we're going to be forcing the air into the diaphragm, okay? So we don't want to be putting more tension in. So all I want you to do is rest one hand on your sort of belly area, one hand on your sternum. So remember, we want to fill the whole torso with air without forcing or putting pressure into the abdomen. So where your top hand is on your sternum, that's going to be position 1. So we're going to inhale into position 1. So I just want you to inhale into your sternum. Notice the chest rise and fall. And let it go. So inhaling into the sternum and letting it go. So that might be quite normal and quite comfortable if you're used to breathing into your upper chest only. Now your rib cage is going to be area 2. So I now want you to try and breathe into the region of your ribs where your hands are. Again, keep it soft. Now area 1 So your sternum can also lift at the same time. So I want you to go 1, 2. And then exhale from the ribs first, 2, 1. Okay, so we're going 1, 2, 2, 1. Now your other hand is on your belly, so that's number 3. So you're now going to try and breathe into your belly. So you're going to go position 1, 2, 3. And you're going to exhale 3, 2, 1. Okay, so let's do that again. 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1. So carry on your own time, a couple more rounds of breath. So it's called the 3, 2, 1 breath. So you're going to inhale 1, 2, 3, and exhale 3, 2, 1. Just keep that going. And one more round of breath. And just let your hands rest wherever is comfortable and see if you can carry on that pattern without having your hands there as a reminder. So how soft can you make this? See if you notice the air is going into different places. So if you were someone who breathed mainly into the upper chest, does this feel different? Really allow the muscles around the pelvis to relax. And if your legs are on a cushion, your muscles at the front of your hips can totally switch off, which are all going to help with that breathing pattern. So there's no gripping around the pelvis at all, which will give you much more freedom around the abdomen and pelvic floor. And then just start to come back into the room, open your eyes. And we're just slowly going to make our way up to a seated position. Just take your time. Okay, so that can obviously also be done in an upright position because you want to be able to facilitate that breathing when you're upright and functional during the day as well. So it might be worth practicing a few rounds of breath in this upright position until this becomes sort of a normal practice for you, this expansion and contraction of the whole torso. Now what we don't want obviously is the shoulders to be involved in this lifting. Sometimes when we inhale, the shoulders come up with us. So when you're upright, that tends to happen, and we start using the wrong muscles, sort of neck muscles, to become breathing muscles, which again isn't an effective breathing pattern. So that's another breathing pattern disorder. So when you're doing this, just this area is going to rise, but it doesn't mean these are going to rise. Okay, so just watch that when you're doing this for yourself. So it's still 1, 2, 3, and 3, 2, 1. And there's a kind of a softening and a downward pull with that exhale, which again allows everything to feel a little bit weightier and much, much calmer. So it's a very soothing and calming breathing pattern. So I hope that was useful. Keep practicing it. If it was a bit of a challenge, don't worry, it's normal. So keep practicing. I hope you found that useful and enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And until then, stay zebra strong.